Mr Speaker, I just want to touch on a couple of things that the former Speaker just said, Melissa Lee. She talked about the importance of being a Kiwi, being respected as a Kiwi. I just think it's really unfortunate that a few years ago, Mr Speaker, she made it very clear that she doesn't respect the Kiwis in South Auckland, accusing them of getting off the motorway in Mount Albert and committing crimes in her neighbourhood. Let's not forget that, Mr Speaker. Also, she talked about the international reputation that we've gained under that government. Well, the international reputation that we've gained under that government is absolutely an embarrassment for this country, Mr Speaker. The international reputation that we've gained because of that government is along the lines of what John Oliver has put out there. Let's just see what that is. We now know, the world now knows, that our Prime Minister urinates in the shower. Well, that's fantastic for our international reputation. Thank you, National Government. Mr Speaker, in the recent couple of days, there have been revelations about the world's most wealthy elite using our country as a place to hide their money, Mr Speaker, and that is a shameful indictment on John Key and his national government. And to make it worse, Mr Speaker, in recent weeks, we've had it brought to our attention that multinational companies are not paying the tax or their fair share that they should be, Mr Speaker. And when we look at that, we have to feel a little bit concerned as New Zealander, because on one hand we have that, people not paying their fair share, and on the other hand, here we are as a country struggling with record high levels of child poverty, struggling with record low levels of home ownership. We've got here a $1.7 billion that has been effectively cut from our health system. We've got an education system that's drowning our young people in debt. And while New Zealanders are dealing with all of that, the world's wealthy elite are getting richer off the back of New Zealanders and New Zealand, Mr Speaker. What is absolutely shocking is that despite knowing all of this, John Key refuses to acknowledge we have a problem with foreign trusts and refuses to crack down on multinational companies and the tax that they should be paying. Admitting, Mr Speaker, that what they are doing is ethically wrong, but saying it is still within the confines of our law, Mr Speaker. Easy enough solution, the rest of the country would think. Review the laws surrounding foreign trusts and tax. But as the PM has said on a number of occasions, the foreign trust legislation, well, he has said, was introduced under Labor in 1988, but they are the ones in government, Mr Speaker. They've had 8 years to fix it. It was brought to their attention. It was brought to the attention of the country under their watch. It is John Key and his national government's responsibility to address the issues, Mr Speaker. The solution seems simple enough: review the legislation. But John Key isn't about meaningful solutions. As Gordon Campbell recently wrote about in an article, he's about crisis management ploys. And over this issue, he's been running the gamut of those ploys so predictably. In fact, how about we describe what those ploys look like? So the first ploy that Gordon Campbell describes is the no problem here, move on ploy. I don't think it's embarrassing, says the Prime Minister, and, quote, OECD also had a review of its tax regime in 2013 and they gave New Zealand a clean bill of health, end quote, repeated in almost all media reports. The actual truth is that there has been a continued call for change from the opposition parties, IRD, and that same report that he talks about, the 2013 OECD report. There's also been calls from professors of taxation, including one from the University of Auckland, who said the revelations show New Zealand's laws are out of date and the rules need to be tightened. But the Prime Minister continues to ignore. The second crisis management ploy that the Prime Minister is well known for is muddy the pool with irrelevance. Well, we saw that today with actually Bill English taking a page out of the Prime Minister's book. When he was talking about the tax issue, he quickly said, here is the opposition concentrating on this tax issue. Why are they not concentrating on family violence and youth unemployment? Three completely different issues. That government should be over everything. The opposition has to be over everything. We shouldn't be muddying the waters by trying to mix them up. The third ploy for crisis management is blame Labor, and we've seen that all week with the Prime Minister saying that the issues we're confronted with are because of the fact that Labor introduced this legislation. But then yet, on the other hand, there are no issues. 1988 was when that trust bill was introduced. I was 10 years old at the time, Mr. Speaker, but of course it's my fault. It's my fault. It is not the Prime Minister's fault, despite the fact it was brought to his attention and he's done nothing to fix it.